Alright, today we are going to be talking about solving word problems using algebra. So how do we solve word problems using algebra? So the first thing whenever we are going to break down a question and look at it by making a word problem is we are going to first and foremost read the question, okay? Then we're going to read the actual question. Okay, so we have a word problem, but then we're going to actually read the question. So I actually like to read the question first, and I'm going to highlight it as well. Okay, so the question is, how many brushes are in a package? This way, when I finally answer the question at the end, I know that I'm not done if my label doesn't say brushes. Okay, so the art teacher has 6 packages of brushes and 8 single brushes. Each package has the same number of brushes, and in total we have 80 brushes. So we want to know how many brushes are in a package. So what we want to do is we want to, sometimes the best thing to do is work backwards. Okay? Work backwards. So let's go through this so we can actually understand what the problem is asking. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to understand the problem, which is what I just did with the underlining. Step 2, we're going to identify the first operation to undo. So I know that I have 8 single brushes, okay, and my total is 80. So I'm going to have to subtract these brushes from the total, okay. So I subtracted, and that makes me left with 72 brushes. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see what I should do next. Alright, so now we have 72 brushes, and now we have 6 packages. Okay, so I want to know how many is in each package. Alright, we got rid of the 8. So now we have this part. So we have 72 divided by 6, so that means there are 12 brushes in each package. Okay, so this is probably the way that you guys would do this without using. So technically, that is using. You're doing this using arithmetic, but what I want you to do is do it algebraically using a variable. Okay. So we're going to try this again, but we're going to try to set up a variable, using a variable, okay? So by doing this, it makes it a little bit easier to keep our thoughts in order. And the other thing is it makes it nice so that we can use this for any type of equation that this would fit into, okay? Because if we just do it mathematically this way. Now, if I changed it to 6 or 7 packages, or maybe there were 9 single brushes, so the whole entire thing changes. So it's just a little bit easier if we do this algebraically, and it's a little more neat and organized. So doing this algebraically, remember x always represents the thing we don't know. Okay, so x represents the number of brushes in each package. All right. We know that there are 6 packages, 8 single brushes. So the expression is going to be 6x plus 8. Now we know there are a total of 80 brushes, so this represents an equal sign. Okay? So our equation is 6x plus 8, right? So if I ask you to write and solve an equation, here's the writing, here's the solving. Okay? So again, we are going to undo our operations so that we get x by itself. Remember, that's what we want, is we want x by itself in the end. Okay? So I got an x, I got an x, x, x. Finally, x is by itself. So first we subtracted the 8 from both sides. All right? And right over here, we call this the justification part. Okay, that's the justification part. Okay, so I subtracted 8 from both sides, so I'm left with 6x is equal to 72. Divide both sides by 6, so x is equal to 12. Now, if you notice, that's exactly the same steps we used on the other side. But again, this is algebraically. So the example number 1 showed you how to do it arithmetically, and this is algebraically. So remember, algebra always has a variable. That's the big key. All right. So Troy is 3 times as old as Mia's and Dan's age combined. If Troy is 36 and Mia is 5, how old is Dan? Okay. So what we are looking for, let me highlight. Bigger. Okay. So we want to know how old Dan is. Okay. So this is going to be our variable. Okay. So D represents Dan's age. Okay. So Troy is 36 and Mia is 5. All right. And Troy is 3 times as old as Mia. So the total of Mia and Dan's age combined is 5 plus D. So they told us what Mia is. Okay? And then it says Troy is 3 times that total. All right? Troy is 36 years old. So this part right here, this translation part, that is seriously probably the hardest part. So it's the most important that you do that. Once we get to the actual equation, that's when we can start. That's when we get to the part where we already know how to do that. So what I'm going to show you. So I wanted to leave this. I wanted to talk about this just for a minute because I noticed, and I didn't even teach you guys this, so this is great. I noticed last week that some of you guys were actually solving. If you had a 3 out here, you were doing it like that, which is awesome. So by all means, keep doing that. But if that's not where your head goes, remember you can always distribute whenever you see the parentheses. So this would be 15 plus 3D is equal to 36. Subtract 15. And again, this is just an alternative way of solving. So 3D is equal to 21. Divide by 3. So again, D is equal to 7. So Dan is 7 years old. All right, 2 separate ways. If you want to divide out the 3 first, you can do that. If you would rather just do it the other way, then that's fine as well. Remember, if I'm going too fast, please make sure that you pause, okay? Don't just keep going because I'm going. Oops. Okay, so now the next one. Example number 4. So now we're going to be talking about percentages. So with a percent, so Allie was earning $15 per hour before receiving a 10% raise. Okay, 10% raise. So this means that we have 100% plus 10% more. So this is 110% or 1.1. Hey, remember, we never use percents in an equation. So now we have, so $15 was 100% of her hourly rate. Her rate was increased by 10%. So n is equal to 15 times 1.1. So n is equal to 16.5 or $16.50. You know we love percents. So remember it's raised, so we are adding. So raise means plus. And number 5. Aaron bought a stock at $42.80 per share. The value of the stock dropped. Okay, now we're dropping. So this would be 100% of the stock minus 20%. So that would be 80% or 0.8. And again, all of that is right here. I just like to reiterate it. Okay, so we want to know what the value of the stock is after 1 week. So what we do is we take this 80%, change it to a decimal, and then we're going to multiply it by the original value. And that is what the value of the stock is. Okay, so the final answer is going to be $34.24. The way to also notice this, so notice my number is smaller than it started. That's how you know that you did it right. If you look back at example number 4, that was an increase, so the number went up. So make sure when you guys are doing this, if you're confused as to when you should add or subtract, or even multiply and divide, think about what's happening to your number. That might be a little bit helpful. Okay. I couldn't leave you in a lesson without giving you a question with fractions. Ron wants to place a painting that is 34 inches wide in the horizontal center of the wall that is 89.5 inches wide. So how far from each corner of the wall should he place the painting for it to be centered? Okay, so the painting is 32.5 inches wide, and the whole entire wall is 82.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change these to decimals. So 32.5 and 89.5. So I know the whole thing is going to be equal to 89.5. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I want there to be the equal amount on each side. So if I were to draw a wall, and one of the best things about this, guys, is drawing pictures is just so smart. Okay, so from here to here is going to be x, and from here to here is going to be x as well. Alright, so x plus x, I hope you all say 2x. Let me make these the same. I'm going to change these to n's, sorry. Just so it goes along with your notes. So n and n, and then this is 32.5. So what we're going to do is we're going to add all these up. Okay? So that's where they got the 32.5 plus 2n. Alright, so I'm going to subtract the 32.5. So I get 2n is equal to 57 divided by 2. 28.5 or 28.5. So remember, I just changed this to decimals because it's just so much easier to work with. And then if you have to, you can change it back to fractions if you need to. Okay, those are pretty easy ones to go with. Okay, and then again, just make sure that's always labeled. Okay, and we'll finish off with the coached example. So the cost of the sneakers that Janelle wants to buy is $84.20. This week, they are 30% off. Woohoo! And we want to know what is the sale price. And they gave us the variable. So make sure that you pay attention. If they ask you for a variable, you have to use that variable. All right, so what percent of the cost does $84.20 represent? So, I hope you're saying 100%. Okay, that is the actual cost, so it's always going to be 100%. Will Janelle pay for less than or more than 100% of the cost? So if it's 30% off, this is a discount. So less than. What percent of the cost will Janelle pay? So you could just write the final answer, but I would actually like you to do 100% minus 30% equals 70%, just so you know where that 70% came from. Okay, so we're taking 30% off of the 100%, so he's going to actually pay 70%. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is we're going to say S is equal to, we are always going to put the original cost first, so $84.02, we could just write 0.2, and then we are going to multiply that by 0.7. Okay, so we'll just write a little note, 70% equals 0.7. Okay, so then you're going to solve, so you can go ahead and do that in your calculator. So 84.2 times 0.7 is 58 and 94 hundredths, or $58.94. So again, nothing new here today. We are just pulling together everything we know. We know how to write algebraic equations from a situation. We know how to solve algebraic equations, but now we're going to actually put them all together. So you should be able to read a word problem, create or write an algebraic equation, and then solve that algebraic equation. Remember to always answer the question, like this one, what is the sales price of the sneakers? So your answer should be in money. If it asks how big something is, you should have a unit at the end that represents length or distance. Okay, so always answer the question, always mark up everything, and if you can, or if you need to, like with example 6, please make sure you draw a diagram.